1857, President Eisenhower sent 1,000 men of the United States Army to carry out the law. The Supreme Court of the United States had said, the entire strength of the nation may be used to enforce in any part of the land the security of all rights entrusted by the Constitution. And that included my rights and the rights of 8 other Negro Americans who wanted to go to Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. We were Terrence Roberts, Thelma Mothershed, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Carlotta Wall, Melba Patillo, Minnie Jean Brown, and Gloria Ray. And we were going to school again. Obviously, in this town of 100,000, there were many who didn't like what was happening. But as we looked at the soldiers, we knew there must be millions of others who thought we represented something important.
Throughout the course of one's life, there are many moments that inspire feelings of dread and anxiety, the first day of school being no exception. The stress associated with making sure all your clothes look right, all your books are in order, and preparing for the intimidating process of making friends are all major concerns on the minds of those stepping into their first days of their educational lives. Yet the butterflies one might feel in their stomach on their first day of school simply cannot compare to the terror that the Little Rock Nine must have felt on their first day at a racially segregated public school. Terror is defined as an instance of or cause of intense fear or anxiety, and to say that these integrating students felt simple anxiety would be an immense understatement. On September 4th, 1957, Ernest Green, Elizabeth Eckford, Jefferson Thomas, Terrence Roberts, Carlotta Walls Lanier, Minnie Jean Brown, Gloria Ray Carl Mark, Thelma Mothershed, and Melba Beals would make their first steps into Little Rock Central High School in Arkansas. Pictured here is Elizabeth Eckford, bravely making her way to her first classes in the desegregated public education system. Yet intense hatred and racism would confront her at every corner, leading Governor Orville Faubus to deploy the Arkansas National Guard and President Dwight Eisenhower to deploy the 101st Airborne Division to enforce the integration and escort the students to their classes. The sheer terror that Eckford and her fellow African-American students must have felt upon entering the explosive school grounds that fateful morning cannot be fathomed. Notice the large crowd of students and citizens behind Eckford, following her every step to confront her every move on the school campus. Regarding the accompanying crowd, Eckford recalled, "They moved closer and closer. I tried to see a friendly face somewhere in the crowd, someone who could maybe help. Someone started yelling, 'Lynch her, lynch her.' Perhaps this could have been the student directly behind her, who appears to be intensely jeering Eckford, attempting to break down her mental and emotional walls with words of unimaginable hate, in hopes that the African-American students would simply leave their school. Observe the armed guards to the back left of Eckford and their tense and braced postures, waiting for the vocal protest to turn violent. While Eckford herself may have a calm look of indifference, inside it can be assumed that sheer terror has taken over. Despite a federal mandate to integrate all public schools in 1954 under Brown versus Board of Education, resistance still lingered, making the tension thicker and life harder for students like Eckford. For her, this first day of school is quite a bit more intense than any first day that anyone in the present day can imagine. Fortunately for Eckford and her fellow African-American students, they would be successfully integrated, and that fateful day would simply become a memory of time past. So while opportunity would liberate them from the reins of segregation, for the Little Rock Nine, the sheer terror felt on that historic morning will not be forgotten anytime soon.
Joining me now are three of the white students who admit in one form or another to being part of that ugliness in Little Rock. This is Ann Burleson. As she appeared in 1957, she was chanting the words 2468, we don't want to integrate. And Ann says she is now ashamed of that schoolyard chant. Jean Porter regrets being a silent witness to the crimes by fellow white students, including seeing them put thumbtacks on Melba's chair and also witnessing boys in gym urinating on the lockers of Ernest Green. And David Sontag came here today, he says, to apologize to Minnie Jean for an altercation in the cafeteria. What happened?
Oh, I went in the cafeteria and I'd sort of been dared by other kids, to retaliate for Minnie Jean for having poured chili on someone's head earlier. And so I did it. But it was not done out of hate.
What was it done out of?
It was just done out of ignorance. Mm-hmm. Of not understanding her plight. Mm-hmm. And the plight of all of them. We didn't really know. We weren't walking in their shoes. We didn't put ourselves in their shoes. And I know that I didn't treat them the way I would have wanted to be treated.
How did you treat them?
I don't necessarily remember being ugly, straightforward to any of them individually, but just being a part of a group that would, chant and say negative things.
Mm-hmm. Are you the reason Minnie Jean was expelled?
I may be part of the reason.
Uh-huh. So you came here today, what?
I am genuinely sorry for any negative things that I did at that time. I was really acting as a child that was not prepared for the moment.
Mm-hmm. And you are now here because you were shamed.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. I knew Carlotta just because she had a locker close to me, and we would, And
that's how I recognized you off the bat.
I remember you. I remember your smile. I remember your eyes. I remember your cat calls. You used to get me coming out of English class, walking down the hall. You remember that? And I've never forgotten your name. I've never forgotten your name. Never, ever.
Was he not nice to you?
He was insidious because he was continuous. He was like relentless.
Does his apology mean anything to you?
I would like to come forward and apologize. Sure.
Yeah, it means a lot to us.
This is I want to get out here.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I wish you all the good.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you better listen than you.
Well, this is why our show was absolutely groundbreaking and, as far as I'm concerned, defined itself as a cultural icon. The show did. In our ability to reach not only just the pinnacle of the story, to tell the story, but to also reach for reconciliation and peace. How do we show people how to make peace and how they can also be peace. That is what that show did. Because when you see the Little Rock Nine, courageous as they are, it took an enormous amount of courage for the people who had done the spitting to come on national television on a show hosted by an African-American woman and to face them and say, I'm sorry.